For this woman, the compulsory sheltering and feeding of an extra 8 people. For the family who have fled this house, the immediate requisition of their home. For this man, perhaps imprisonment if he refuses to billet.
Wait, I'm not having 8.
Sorry, sir, you've got to take 8.
I don't want to. I'm not having 8. I haven't got enough food in there for 8.
Don't argue, don't argue.
I warn you that under the emergency regulations, with 4 rooms and a kitchen, you can be forced to take 8 people. Bloody hell.
In a recent mock NATO battle in Europe, using only tactical nuclear weapons and described as a limited engagement, it was estimated that over 2 million non-combatants would have been fatally or seriously injured.
David Edward Thornley, age 37, general practitioner in medicine, now on the staff of one of a series of emergency medical aid units being established in preparation for a nuclear strike. Time, 9:11 a.m., September the 18th. Dr. Thornley stops to make an emergency call. Berwick Street, Canterbury. "12 miles from the airfield at Manston on the Kent coast. This family couldn't afford to build themselves a refuge. This could be the way the last 2 minutes of peace in Britain would look.
The story of the events and the people who, over centuries, came together to bring us in from the cold and to wrap us in a warm blanket of technology is a matter of vital importance. I take going up in the world like that for granted. We all do. And as the years of the 20th century have gone by, the things we take for granted have multiplied way beyond the ability of any individual to understand in a lifetime. Down there is one of the biggest, most complex cities in the world, full of people using things as if they understood them, and sometimes not even knowing they're doing it. New York City, like all the other major high-density population centers scattered across the earth, is a technology island. I'd like you to meet a few people who were in or near New York City on a November evening over a decade ago. And the reason I'd like you to meet them is because they all have one thing in common. They were all brought to a sudden and catastrophic realization of how vulnerable they were, how dependent on one aspect of that technological network I was talking about. 5:10, Mount Sinai Hospital.
Fair enough, I'm just giving him a bit of oxygen at the moment. I'll go to the cycle when you're ready.
Okay. The patient, Mrs. Marcana, is expecting twins. 5:15 at Kennedy Airport. At one of the international terminals, on the board, Scandinavian Airlines 911. Scandinavian 911 is on its way into Kennedy. The pilot is veteran Captain Carl Lofsted.
Kennedy approach control, Scandinavian 911. With information, Yankee. 5,000 feet approaching Riverhead.
Scandinavian 911, roger. Park there, park 1221 radio vector final. Runway 4 right ILS.
Please fasten your seatbelts.
Runway lights at 2 o'clock. Okay, I see that.
With the next contraction, dear, you'll take a deep breath and push real hard, okay? I think one is about to start. Take a deep breath and push real hard. Okay, push.
At Mount Sinai Hospital, Mrs. Marcana is in labor.
Okay, Fred, I think you can put her to sleep now.
Fair enough, miss.
The anesthetic being used at the time is a mixture of gases, including one called cyclopropane. It's potentially explosive, but everybody knows that.
Okay, Annie, we've got a baby.
It's now exactly 16 minutes and 10 seconds past 5. That's where this comes in. It's a relay, and its job is to detect changes in power going onto a transmission line. These up here. Power flows north along these lines, and on the particular evening in question, this relay detected an increase in power on one of those lines that was above a preset limit. When that happened, magnets set around this metal cup caused it to rotate, and that brought this arm to make a contact like this. That contact was made on the evening of November the 9th, 1965, at 16 minutes and 11 seconds past 5. As the network fell apart, links between one energy center and another broke. Instead of 300,000 kilowatts coming into New York to help meet demand, 1.5 million kilowatts were draining out of the city to supply areas now cut off from the network, but still connected like leeches to the New York generators.
Here we go again.
Here she is.
Okay, I've got her.
Hey,
What the hell's going on?
Someone's playing a joke.
Hey, look!
The generators continued to trip out, and at Kennedy Airport, the radar screens went black. And Flight 911 was in trouble.
Roland, I got flag warning. Switch number 2 to the ILS. Okay.
You know, I have some candles. Maybe we can light them.
This abnormal business of actually talking to anybody on the subway caught on briefly all over New York.
Let's put some light on the situation. My birthday anyway. Anybody feel like singing happy birthday to Make a happy situation out of a terrible one. My name? Louise?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
But while this journey had taken on a meaning nobody expected, so too, at the hospital, had Mrs. Marcana's delivery of twins, thanks to the anesthetic.
It was then a general scurry around to find flashlights, and I immediately commandeered one so I could see what was happening.
And needs check the radio. Kennedy approach control, Scandinavian 911. The ILS went US.
I've got some wine here. What do you need? Nice and cake.
The extraordinary thing in the subways was that a full hour into the crisis, nobody was trying to escape from the trap.
Yeah, it's not even a corkscrew.
Would it be cricket to put one in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now what we need is the knife.
Follow the head down.
I'm following.
Okay, all right. Well, the baby was delivered without the lights because you didn't need the lights for the delivery. That's manipulative. Remember, you're reaching up into the uterus, grabbing a foot, which is strictly by feel. You rupture the membranes and you bring the foot down. The second baby was vigorous, and we repaired the P's.
There you go. Oh, you're such a pretty girl. Yes.
Kennedy approach control, Scandinavian 911. Do you read?
Captain Lofsted had only a few seconds left to make his decision. He was at 2,000 feet, past the airport and heading straight for Manhattan in the darkness. There was only one thing he could do. Lofsted and 200 other jets that night landed with the help of radio working on planes sitting on the ground. And finally, as in all good fairy stories, it was over. A few days later, people were back at their daily routine as if it had never happened. The night New York became a trap, forgotten.
Everyone hold on to the railing.
Welcome to Hotel Zanzibar. I see you have not stayed with us before, but please, feel free to linger in our corridor and take a butcher's around the 9th floor.
Mr. Blue and Mr. Brown are in the building.
For shame, Henry, why speak you to your cuff? There's no one here. You're armed.
Yes, sir.
So chill. I take it we have all the channels?
Yes.
Ah, Mr. Brown, your luggage is within. Do you need a tour of the room?
Not fast.
Sleep well, sweet prince. He shall not live the night. 'Tis understood assassins wish him dead to cleanse our country of his family's line. So when Prince Rico meets my little friend, and grief does shake the old king of his wits, my father stands in readiness to rule, then I will wear the prince's crown instead. And I'll be 911, not 912.
Young man, I wish to order some room service, which is off menu, if you catch my drift.
I do indeed, sir.
Here. The other half will come.
After you do. I understand. Leave it with me. I know just the girl for you.
Do you have the key card?
Yes, got it here. Doesn't seem to work. Don't know why. No joy. I'll go back to reception. You wait here.
Is that the matter, madam? Are you locked out of your room?
Yes, my boyfriend's gone to fetch another card.
Oh, they are most unreliable.
Boyfriend?
No, the key cards. Did you want me to let you in? I've got a pass key.
No. Do you have any other rooms available?
There's nobody booked in 913. I can show you in there if you like.
All right. A woman should be wooed with care.
Excuse me, yes. I hate to be a bore. I was looking at my key card and I saw the number of this room is 911. For me to stay in here can't be done.
Well, you do not like the number, sir.
No way.
Well, 914 has just come free today.
Oh, I'm very superstitious as of late. To stay in 911's tempting fate.
Well, at least you haven't had to travel far. Have you taken anything from the minibar?
No, but will you tell the bellboy on this floor the water sports will now be 914?
When these blue rivers in my wrist do run and mingle with the cheap bath salts and soap, then will my guilt drain out with them to sea. And will my children mourn? I can but hope. My boys, my twins, were given up at birth. Their mother died. I was still in jail. One stayed in England, one was sent abroad. I know not what became of either one. So tonight, I will put me to my sword.
Why has she flown? Oh, these sodding keycards never bloody work.
Sir, may we speak plainly once again?
Of course.
You're barking up the wrong tree. Your room is down here, 911.
Oh, I see. That'll be why the card refused to work.
Your room service is on its way.
Oh, great. Bring it straight up, will you? And be discreet.
Naturally.
And either way.
Be quiet, have some tact. We must discuss the tariff for this act.
I have to pay.
No, madam, I pay you.
You know I'm staying in here tonight.
Okay.
I need some space.
I hear not what you do.
You really are a pig.
What's that?
Who's this?
Just go back to bed and I will join you soon.
Are you the gentleman from 911, Mr. Brown?
I'm Mr. Brown's security advisor. What mean you with him?
He's ordered some executive relief.
Madam, what mean you by this? Like a scalded she-cat, you have sprayed me.
Why else are you paying me?
Paying?
What seems to be the issue here, sir?
He refuses now to pay.
Oh, I must insist you pay the lady, sir. Otherwise, she is one to stay and make a fuss. And whilst we're on it, perhaps you could supply the other half of this.
Have I gone mad? Has the world turned upside down?
Pay me my money!
I will not!
I'm hungry, and you promised me a meal.
Look, here, have this. Hasn't been touched.
Okay.
Give me but 2 minutes. I prithee.
Hello, mind, sir. I am Colette the maid. I'm on an errand, if you would be led.
Ah, good, the maid. You must have read my mind.
I've waited long enough in there. Pay up!
Pay up? For what? I know not what you mean. This hotel is full of madwomen, I swear.
Mother, where did you get that money from? From him. Give me that money, Grandma. I've earned it. Well, I earned it too.
It's all my fault. I've messed it up.
Calm down. We just need to untangle what is tangled.
This gentleman was booked in 914.
No, that's Mr. Brown from 911.
In bed with Redwater. I'm always next door.
Then Mr. Green in 915.
His bath plug.
And Blue in 912. Who have I missed?
Miss Rika, what has happened? Aren't you tired? I thought you would be sleeping now.
With this, you have to give me shelter from these people. Good Henry, you're the only one I trust. Oh, Amber, there you are, my love. I've missed you.
Don't touch me with those trotters, you fat pig.
With true love's kiss, I aim to break the spell. Excuse me, miss, I'd like to pay my bill.
For the final time, will you be... What's this? 2 peas from the same pod, both shelled. Do my old eyes deceive me, or could I be looking at the sons I briefly held?
I was adopted as a child. And I never knew my father until now. I always felt that I was but a half, lacking not just a father and a mother. Meeting your other half makes you a whole. Does that sound wrong? It's nice to meet you. Brother.
Can someone tell me what's gone on today?
It's more than a rhyming couplet can relay.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. And it seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse? Presumably there were very few people in the Salomon building when it collapsed. I mean, there were, I suppose, fears of possible further collapses around the area.
That's what you would hope, because this whole downtown area behind me has been completely sealed off and evacuated, apart from the emergency workers. That was done by the mayor, Rudy Giuliani, much earlier today, because of, of course, the dreadful collapse of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. But New York, very much a city still in chaos. The phones are not working properly, the subway lines are not working properly. And we know that down there near the World Trade Center there are 3 schools that are being turned into triage centers for emergency treatment.
Jane, I think many of us, when we heard the news, perhaps on the radio earlier today, were completely flabbergasted by it and just couldn't comprehend it. I mean, it almost sounded too far-fetched. I was wondering what it's felt like for you being in Manhattan. Well, unfortunately, I think we've lost the line with Jane Stanley in Manhattan. Perhaps we can rejoin her and follow that up later. We've just got some pictures in from New York of the latest building to collapse. That's the Salomon Brothers building. That's 47 stories tall. There you can see it going. So this happened, some 6 hours or so after the collapse of the World Trade Center. Presumably, it was so close to the World Trade Center that it had been weakened by the explosions and the collapse of those buildings. We were talking to our correspondent in New York a few moments ago, trying to find out what sort of casualties might be involved in the collapse of this building, but it's just in the realm of guesswork. Most people, it's assumed, had been evacuated from the building, and perhaps there'd only be a skeleton staff there.
Well, in New York, the rescue effort is really just getting underway after the collapse of not just the World Trade Center's Twin Towers, but also the 47-story Solomon building next door to it. For the latest, we can go now to New York and join our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, bring us up to date, if you can, on what's happening now.
Well, we still have no further concrete word on casualty figures, as you said, though people are expecting very horrific numbers. But just down behind me, where the World Trade Center towers used to be, we can still see a thick plume of smoke and of ash in the air, and queues of rescue vehicles, heavy lifting gear being brought in, reinforcements of police in buses and cars, ambulances, all the emergency services getting in. And we have unconfirmed as yet reports that as many as 200 firefighters may have been killed and 70 police officers are missing. They were emergency personnel around the building when the towers fell down. So New York in a state of panic and of great grief.
After the collapse of the Solomon building, Jane, are the other buildings in that area stable? Hello, Jane?
Nada.
No, I think we've lost Jane Stanley in New York. We'll try and get back to her later.